Why would a Maine boy go 1,000 miles to go wild in Hatteras, North Carolina? This boat. I'm supposed to be on this boat right now, way out to sea. But you know what else is out there? Hurricane Earl. I drove 1,000 miles to get canceled. Wait a minute. I'm in the Outer Banks. There are more birds found here than anywhere else in the Tarheel State. And I'm here. If you've been to the Outer Banks before, you know what the wildlife is. It's people. Rule number one, if you're a bird in a very popular beach like this one, you better get used to people. This willet is paying no attention at all. As every wildlife photographer knows, the first thing you got to do is blend in with your environment. Beach camouflage. Cape Hatteras Light Station. From the top of this tower, you can see where over 2,000 ships have wrecked. Since people first started navigating this area, they've been dreading going around Hatteras. A number of things go wrong here. The biggest problem is that two currents collide here. The Gulf Stream comes up from the south, the Labrador Current comes down from the north, and they both collide right at this point. And because the currents collide here, the shoals go out 16 miles. Shifting sand, even if you knew where the sand used to be, it may have moved and you may wreck. A lot of famous ships are wrecked here. The Monitor and the Merrimack, first ironclad battle of the Civil War. The Monitor sank here. It still happens. In 2012, a replica of the HMS Bounty tried to beat a hurricane around the corner, didn't make it. If you're a sailing ship and the wind is coming from the east and it never changes, you got nowhere to go but on shore. Two miles down the beach, south of Hatteras Light, Cape Point is a spit that pokes out into the surf. There's a lot of birds and wildlife behind this beach. There's tidal mud and big wetlands. Birds are feeding, roosting, and just flying around in big numbers. Well, if you ever wondered where these ruddy guys get the name Turnstone, now you know. The terns you'll see most often in Hatteras are the Caspian and Royal terns, the big ones, and Forster's terns all over the place. But there's a few common terns here. Sandwich terns show up here, they're in the neighborhood. And these least terns. Lesser blackback gull next to a great blackback gull. Here's a mystery for you. Where do these guys come from? They used to be rare, now they're becoming common along the mid-Atlantic coast, but nobody knows where they're coming from. They're abundant throughout Eurasia, over to Iceland, but they've never been known to nest anywhere in North America. I call this yoga pose the greater yellow legs. Right at this point is the actual cape of Cape Hatteras. And now you can see why it was so hard for sailing vessels to get by here. The Outer Banks are 200 miles of beaches and gift shops. The exception is Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. 3 big containment ponds of shallow water that wintering waterfowl adore. They come in here by the thousands. If you wanted to find the one place in the state to stand to find the most birds, it's right here. pied-billed grebes. Here's the thing about Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. There are a lot of national wildlife refuges all the way down the Mid-Atlantic coast, from New York City to South Carolina and beyond. But along the barrier islands, there's just one good stopping place for migrating waterfowl, and it's here. I don't know. Should I include Canada geese in Bob Goes Wild? Because these guys poop on every golf course from here to Miami. Alligators. Let's settle this.
You will find alligators in Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge. Alligators don't like salt water.
Pea Light Station. This is 164 feet tall. This is actually the third lighthouse that was ever here. First one, built in the 1850s, was unstable and they knocked it over. Second one, in the American Civil War, the Confederates knocked it over so it wouldn't help the Federal Navy. So they built a third one and it's been here ever since. You can see the light about 20 miles out to sea, which is just how far the sand shoals go. The big reason to take a wildlife peek in here is the trees. There aren't many tall, mature stands in the Outer Banks, but they are here. And there's a boardwalk only 2/10 of a mile from the lighthouse with great views and good birds. There's other wildlife here too, including a sign that warns not to walk in the reeds because there are canebrake rattlesnakes in there. And of course, opposite the lighthouse, the National Seashore continues, with all the great birds along the shore. The best things in life are free, like this ferry to Ocracoke. The National Seashore continues beyond Hatteras, but there's a 2-mile gap between Hatteras and Ocracoke Island. The problem is, there's nothing but sand and shoal between the two, and the only channel goes out into Pamlico Sound, making it a 9-mile ride. But the ferry ride is half the fun. The village of Ocracoke is at the south end of the island, a popular resort community. Built in 1823, this is North Carolina's oldest active lighthouse and the second oldest active lighthouse in America. Somewhere just offshore here, Edward Teach, Blackbeard the pirate, met his demise. Ocracoke, just another 16 miles of national seashore, sand and dunes. Oregon Inlet is a channel that breaches the barrier islands. Lots of places to nest, make babies, and just roost. Hundreds of roosting terns. One good turn deserves another. And like everywhere else in the Outer Banks, the wildlife is used to people. Just remember, if you're going to go wild in North Carolina, blend in. All right, it's a 1,000-mile drive north. Gotta go.